This is not the first time Femi Falana, our legal luminary, will be speaking against Wike's move to build houses for FCT judges. Of course, Falana has argued that building houses for Abuja judges is a clear and a direct way of forcing the judiciary to compromise on any legal matter that has to do with Wike and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in FCT. Again, Falana is also saying and reiterating that Wike has no right to demolish properties in Abuja.
See you physically here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much indeed for your time. Maybe before I take you to this matter, let me allow you to respond to what Minister Wike said about the decision of the government, the executive arm of government, in gifting judges houses. Do you have any reservation about such a thing? Because there are members of the bar who have criticized it.
Well, I just listened to the minister, and as a senior member of the bar, in fact, as a member of the body of benchers,
A live bencher.
there's no provision for it under the current democratic dispensation. You know, there are three arms of government: the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. Each of them today enjoys financial autonomy. In fact, there are three judgments of our court, of the Federal High Court, to the effect that the judiciary is financially autonomous. When those judgments were ignored, I mean, one of them, it was my friend, Dr. Lisa Bakoba SN, that got one of the judgments. The other two by the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSUN. Those judgments were disobeyed. When President Buhari tried to also recognize the independence, financial autonomy of the judiciary via Executive Order 10 of 2020, governors went to court, and the Supreme Court declared it illegal. But the National Assembly and all the state houses of assembly later amended the relevant provisions of the Constitution to the effect that Section 83, the funds of the judiciary every year at the federal level shall be passed to the NJC. For the states, the budget of the judiciary, the money will be given to the heads of court. So if you want to buy cars, if you want to build houses, they are to be carried out through the budget of the judiciary. You know, yes, I just listened to the minister. He didn't answer the question, which is to the fact that, can you give houses to judges before whom you have cases? Because justice must not only be done, but must be seen to have been done. And the people in the executive must stop embarrassing the judiciary. Now, look at the contradictions. You know, it's like the governor of Kaduna State, or Zamfara State, or Cross Rivers, or Lagos, coming to give judges, federal judges, houses in Abuja. No. The minister of the Federal Capital Territory operates like a state governor by virtue of Section 299 of the Constitution. So he cannot say, I'm going to build 40 houses. 10 shall go to the Federal Court, 10 shall go to judges in the FCTI Court, and 10 shall go to the Court of Appeal and Supreme. No! No! Because you are a minister of the federal government, like a state governor. So your budget is limited to all the affairs of the FCT, Federal Capital Territory. So you cannot, as the head of the FCT, be dishing out gifts, cars, and houses to judges in the Federal High Court, in the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. That's number one. Number two, you have cases before these courts on the theory of equality before the law. You cannot be seen to be giving cars or houses to judges who are going to determine your cases. And that is why the autonomy of the judiciary has now been constitutionalized. I do recall that last year, in 2024, what was initially budgeted for the judiciary was 160 billion. But when the National Assembly was convinced that you will need houses for judges, you will need cars for judges, and so on and so forth, the budget was increased to 345 billion naira.
Almost double.
So we have no business, our judges have no business, cap in hand, going to the executive to buy cars and houses for them. So we must now try to operate under the law. So under the Constitution, there's no provision for it.
What about these defense, which if you look at what how the minister Wike defended it, he said those who are agitating or those who are accusing him or alleging bias, for example, when he helped as a state governor in helping the profession about the NBA headquarters, nobody said it was bad.
Sharon,
just a moment, sir. When he also talked about the body of benches, the road, the street lights, the secretariat to the body of benches, and all whatnot, and even houses and cars to River State judges, he said, has he not been getting judgment against him? And he also mentioned that should we leave the judiciary or judges to be living amongst criminals, that the president has promised independence of the judiciary and welfare of the judiciary is part of it.
You can't have the independence of the judiciary, right? Why you will not recognize and operate the provisions of the Constitution on financial autonomy. What that means is that the budget of the judiciary will be managed by the judiciary and not by the executive. So it's not about, we bought houses for judges, they gave one or two judgments against us, we bought cars for them. No, that is not the issue. The issue is that the judiciary must have its own budget and manage its own budget. That is the provision of the Constitution now.
So NJC should have been responsible in gifting.
That is the law. That is the
gifting the cars.
That is what the Constitution has now provided.
So in this sense now, how do you capture? Is it an offense in the eye of the law?
Now,
what has been done?
Once we are alleging a breach of the Constitution, it's a serious matter. So if the executive wants to assist the judiciary, what is required is to go to the National Assembly. You can have a supplementary budget. We have now just discovered that the judiciary will need houses in Abuja, and then the National Assembly will so appropriate. But it is not, the Constitution did not expect that the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, like a governor of either Kogi or Ondo or Cross River State, will say, we are giving cars, we are giving houses to judges in the federal public service. No.
There are
the Constitution is saying
there are rules guiding the operation and the activities of the judges.
Of course.
That is the rules of professional conduct for
of
judges.
Course.
Is it a breach of
for sure,
for them to collect?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So the judges are in breach of that.
That is why this matter will have to be properly scrutinized and resolved in the interest of in line with the provisions of the Constitution. Judges need houses, of course. Judges need cars, of course. They need security, of course. But that will have to be provided.
So, I mean,
by the NJC, in line with its own budget. With respect to the states, the law, the Constitution has now said, Section 121 of the Constitution, the budget of the judiciary shall be passed, the fund shall be passed to the head of the courts. That is the chief judge. So it's the judiciary that will now manage its own budget.
So in this sense, what could have been done by the presidency or the FCT would have been, NJC, we have 100 houses for your staff and judges. Take it. The NJC will then appropriate. Then say, oh.
No, the National Assembly will appropriate. But the NJC will submit the budget.
No, I'm saying, let's assume that the FCT ministry, the minister of the FCT says there is an estate for judges. Naturally, what in your mind, what should have been done is FCT handing over to NJC to say, give to your...
Of course.
Not
the ministers. I will give 10 houses to you. I will give 10 houses to the FCT High Court.
Should the judges return those houses and cars?
I'm sure with the discussions that are going on and the controversy that has been generated, needless controversy, we just have to go to the Constitution. What does the Constitution say? So if those houses are completed, how would they be managed? It cannot be managed by the minister. But those houses would have to go to the NJC.
But there is an interesting twist to it, Mr. Falana. If you go to the court, some of the judges that will sit are the ones who are the recipients of these houses. Would they adjudicate that they should leave their own houses?
You know, the danger of it. The danger of it is that a lawyer can file an application in court alleging likelihood of bias.
Because of the gifts of the house?
Of course. It has happened before.
That you are living under the roof
it has happened in this country
of
before.
My political opponent, and I cannot get justice.
It has happened in this country before. In fact, there was a case, and the Supreme Court handled it very well. The Ibrahim Babangida junta was alleged to have given some Mercedes-Benz cars to Supreme Court justices, even under a military dictatorship. And many lawyers have said, no, you can't do that. Make the money available to the judiciary through the NJC. And let it be managed. Now, much later, of course, I think the Concord newspaper then alleged that it was a bribe. Of course, the Supreme Court justices who were affected sued for that. When the bail application of Chief M.K. Abiola got to the Supreme Court, he raised an objection that the 9 of you, my lords, who have sold the Concord owned by me, cannot preside over my matter. And in fairness to the justices, they withdrew in this country in 1995. So we mustn't go back to the era of the military. We mustn't embarrass our judges. They need houses, no doubt. They need vehicles, no doubt. They need security. But what does the Constitution say? It is that at the federal level, the National Judicial Council shall manage the funds of the judiciary. At the state level, the heads of the court shall manage the budget of the judiciary. And we must go, because you see, we're talking of Abuja. In virtually all the states, judges are assembled to receive keys of cars.
It's in goodwill, Mr. Falana. You are alleging criminality in this matter now.
No criminality.
No, you said that it's a breach of the Constitution. In what sense? Is it a civil breach or a criminal breach?
No. It's not a criminal breach. The Constitution has provided that the judiciary must be self-funded and self-accounting.
Independent,
and
autonomous.
We must ensure that we comply with the provisions of the Constitution.
So it's a professional.
To avoid any embarrassment.
From your own point of view, it's a professional and ethical breach. Is that what you're saying?
No, I won't go that
because
far. You know, I only advise our judges to have a thorough look at the rules of conduct
or judicial officers.
We must also look at the constitutional provision, because a new budget, the president will soon submit their 2025 appropriation bill. We must ensure that we take cognizance of the needs of our judges in all the states. The governors must also comply with Section 121 of the Constitution, so that we will put this embarrassing development behind us.
So, Falana, let me tell you, it's a very tricky and a very, touchy matter. There are demolition, and the Minister of the FCT has said he will continue to demolish those shanties. There are those who are alleging that maybe he's demolishing them to gift it out to his friends. And he has said that how can the government look on when illegality goes on? That these places are not meant for these shanties. And I know that in Lagos, Mr. Falana, you and some civil rights activists have fought for the right of shanty dwellers to say they have rights under the law. But in this sense, is it a matter of illegality versus illegality, or a matter of how do you describe what is going on?
If the guys in government, public officers are prepared to comply with the provisions of the Constitution and other relevant laws, who have this embarrassing situation where a man goes to work, the children are in school, bulldozers are sent to their house, and the building is brought down. No, it's primitive.
They said they gave them,
and it's alien
notices.
It's alien to the Urban and Regional Planning Act applicable in the FCT. The minister cannot, under the law, order the demolition of a house. No. If a house has breached the law, that is the physical, the Urban and Regional Planning law, a case will be taken to the Urban and Regional Board. If the owner of the property loses in that board, there is a tribunal, Urban and Regional Tribunal.
Does it apply to the FCT?
Of course, I'm talking of the FCT. If you lose there, you have the right to go to the High Court as an appellate chamber. That is the law today. It is that tribunal or the High Court that will now give an order, go and demolish the house. This is the law. I mean, when Pape, let's say, sprawling, whatever, was going to be demolished, we went to court. I think it was the Honorable Justice Kutugi who made the point. Look at your law. And I then advise the government, go and sit down with the dwellers and have an agreement. Even under the military, in the case of Sarak and Federal Republic of Nigeria, this matter went to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. And today is the best judgment, is the best decision on the rights of people to housing. In the case of Odi, in the case of Zakibiam, in the case of Baramatu, where troops went to destroy houses because some youths, had committed some offenses. I think altogether, the Federal Court awarded about 168 billion against the government. To the best of my knowledge, part of the money has been paid. Because The government does not respect the rights of our people. Some provision, in fact, Section 36, subsection 2 of the Constitution provides no authority in Nigeria shall determine my fate without providing me an opportunity to make a representation. That's a constitutional provision.
Even when you are committing illegality.
Yes. So even where you arrest an armed robbery suspect, you must still give him fair hearing. Oh yes. If you embark on meeting out about, unleashing some punishment there and there, you have committed an offense. So where you say somebody's house has breached the town planning law or urban and regional planning law, there are civilized ways set out by the law to deal with the nuisance. But you cannot, as a minister or as a governor, decide, oh, I don't like that man's house because it's not my political opponent, go and demolish it.
These are issues of shanties, Mr. Falana. These are not just ordinary houses.
Shanties to them. Shanties, do they demolish the houses of the rich? They allow them to regularize. But when it comes to the poor, and is it not the duty of the government to provide housing for all citizens?
The defense of the FCT authority is that some of these shanties harbor criminals. And these are easy ways for criminals to hibernate.
You see, Seun, again, who determines who is a criminal? It's the court of law. It's not the minister. We want to demolish this place because it is harboring a criminal. You go to court. There must be a court order. That is what democracy is about.
Is the demolition
you cannot be too much in a hurry.
Yeah. Is the demolition not a fait accompli? Because the house is already down. What will the appellant?
No, I can assure you, I do know. Those who are affected, the victims will have to go to court. I know the victims, some of them are already in court. And where the minister is threatening to demolish more, he must be advised to look at the law so that the government will not be made to pay damages that may be unnecessary.
Can it be, can an injunctive order be ordered? I mean, because he's saying he's going ahead to demolish.
I don't know what happens now, but when we had cause to rush to the court to save the people of Pape, we got an interim, order. We got an interlocutory order before the final judgment. It's like we had this problem in Lagos when Morocco was demolished. Almost about 300,000 people lost their houses. What did the government do? They said the place was supplied. So government, some filled the place and distributed it to the rich, generals, and other members of the bourgeoisie at that time.
Do you think that this is...
No, but what we did was that the victims came to me and said they found some two estates owned by the Lagos state government and they wanted to move there. So let me know where you want to move. So they moved and we rushed to court. That the government cannot eject them without following the law. What is the law? But the judge said, but Mr. Falana, these are squatters. They demolished the houses of the squatters. And other citizens who are privileged to occupy certain positions in the society have taken over the land. And the court said, Lagos state government, thou shalt not eject them unless you go to court. They are there to do it.
Kidnappers are found in a house used for kidnapping. They bring the house down. And the State Assembly at the time, I remember, made laws to that effect. But I understand that there is a Supreme Court judgment to that effect also recently.
Well, sure, again, as I said, under a democratic government, all actions of the government must be in line with the law because the government itself rules by law. The governor of a state cannot decide, oh, that house belongs to an alleged kidnapper, so I'm going to move there. And I think one of the governors will even lead the team of thugs to set fire on a house. No, it's very primitive. No, you can't do that in any civilized society. So the alleged kidnapper must be arrested, taken to court. It is the court, in line with the provisions of the law, that will make the order. Right? You are using this house for kidnapping, a criminal activity. The house shall be forfeited to the state. And not that the governor of a state will go and set fire on the house. No. Because the government might have gotten some misleading information. And then you set fire on the house of an innocent person. The state will be penalized. And that is why, no, it's actually a very respected retired Supreme Court Justice of Nigeria just drew my attention to a recent decision of the Indian Supreme Court that it is the height of illegality to demolish the house of a criminal suspect.
Until determined by the courts.
Of course, of course.
Let me take you to a position that you made public, and that is in respect of what the Attorney General has said. And you heard what the Attorney General has said, and I hope that for those who began the program with us, will remember what we played to you when the Attorney General said, there is no law that says that a juvenile or a child cannot be prosecuted under our laws. But you differ, Mr. Falana, on what point, sir?
No, Sean. I think there are problems. You are talking of the conclusion of the Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi. That's a conclusion. How did we get to this situation? Under the Constitution, Sections 39 and 40, Articles 9 and 10 of the African Charter, every citizen, every individual in Africa shall have the right to assemble with others and express themselves by way of meetings or rallies or demonstrations once they are peaceful. Under the current democratic dispensation, the duty of the police, when informed that a protest will take place, or a rally, or a public meeting, is to provide security, adequate security for the participants in the rally. That is Section 83, subsection 4 of the Police Establishment Act of 2020. So that is the position of the law today. But when you are going to have a protest, the government said, oh, we recognize the right of Nigerians to protest. However, thou shalt not protest. It's contradictory. You can't recognize my right to protest, and you turn around and criminalize the protest. So you cannot criminalize protest. However, like the court said in the case of Inspector General of Police and AMPP, if in the course of the protest a criminal offense is committed, of course, the protester will be arrested and taken to court. Now, under the law, we are operating a federal system of government. You cannot arrest people in Kano and Kaduna or Sokoto or Lagos and bring them to Abuja. There are courts in those states.
So on the level of jurisdiction, the police was
wrong. It's so wrong completely.
To have brought them to Abuja.
Even if you want to use federal high court, there are branches, there are judicial divisions of the federal in those states. So this centralization of prosecution of criminal offenders in Nigeria must stop. I mean, you can't have a case in Rivers. You come to Abuja, no. There are divisions, courts. There are not less than 3 federal high courts in Rivers. So you can't bring, we had a case, I think it was about 4 people, including a government official, a judge in the federal high court ordered the arrest, usually a warrant of arrest, and I came to court, my Lord, under what law? Number 1, there's no charge before you. Number 2, these guys are wanted for arson, murder, and conspiracy. These are state offenses. Sir, you have no business with them. In fairness to slushy. He lifted cancelled the warrant of arrest. Now, in this case, Nigeria ratified the Child Rights Convention in 2001. In 2003, the National Assembly enacted the Child Rights Act. Today, all the 36 states in Nigeria happily have adopted and enacted the Child Rights Act into their own law. So, under the law, anybody under the age of 18 shall be taken to the family court if he or she has committed any offense. In the proceedings shall be conducted most of the time in camera. Again, this is in line with Section 36, subsection 4 of the Constitution. You don't just expose children. Okay, you want to talk about treason?
No, go ahead, sir.
Now, was treason committed, Sheung? No. Treason. Section 37 of the Criminal Code defines treason as levying a war to intimidate the president of a country. Levying a war. Did anybody levy a war?
Let's take a look at some of the pictures. If the producer can bring somewhere, those people were racing Russian flags.
Again, don't waste your time. It is not a, quote me, and challenge any lawyer. It is not a criminal offense in Nigeria today
to raise any
country's flag. No.
Even in a public march that is anti-government.
If you don't believe me, go out there. Any hotel out there, host the flag of the United States, United Kingdom, France, Germany, all of them, because they want to look international. Some churches in Nigeria believing erroneously that Israel is a Christian country, host the flag of Israel. So it's not a criminal offense to host a foreign flag. So the government may now want to say, oh, can we go back to the drawing table? Oh, did you make a mistake? Right?
What about those inscriptions?
Right.
The government must go, and those are some of the pictures.
You see, when you say, again, Sheung, that is not treason. That's the issue. It's not treason.
When a democratically elected government is being asked to leave office.
No. If a democratically elected government is asked to leave office, yes, in some cases, you might say they're expressing their views. The army did very well. The armed forces did very well by coming out to say, we are not going to involve ourselves in the removal of the president of the country. We are loyal to the Constitution. We are loyal to the president. That was the end of the matter. It is the government now that is trying to remind people, oh, some Nigerians are asking the Bola Tinubu administration to pack up. No. Government should have ignored, and then address the issues that led them to the street.
What about the looting? The looting and...
No, that's another one. Under the military, in 1992, May 1992, the late Chief Gani Fahimi, the late Beck Kor and some critics, Baba Omajela, 5 of us were kidnapped in Lagos and dumped in Kuje prison. After almost 2 months, we're taken to Gwagwalada Chief Magistrate Court, where we're charged with treasonable felony. Not treason, treasonable felony. And what was the allegation? That Babangida wasn't going to go. And that we have printed posters, with the inscription, Babangida must go. And so when the charge was tried, because we had no access to our lawyer, so Chief Gani Fahimi and I decided to defend ourselves and our colleagues. And we told the judge, the chief magistrate, who later became a judge of the FCT, my lord, those who should be charged with treason are in the villa. Babangida and others, because they had removed a democratically elected government on the 31st of March, December 1983. So these guys have no business bringing us to court. Again, we're charged with treasonable felony, not treason. Because we didn't have arms, we didn't roll out tanks, so you couldn't have charged us with treason. So that was a great error made here. You can say, oh yes, I form an intention. That's section 41. Anyone who forms an intention to remove the president of the country, otherwise than by constitutional means, during his term of office. So when that charge was read to us, we asked the judge. This provision is not meant for a military dictator. Because Babangida wasn't elected, so he couldn't be removed by election. He had no fixed term of office. This law is talking of anybody who wanted to remove the president during his term of office.
What about...
And of course, you know what happened? Mm-hmm. Because we turned it into the trial of the junta, and the members of the junta. The government abandoned. No, we granted bail, a sum of 20,000 naira and one shorty in life. So, unlike now, that judges are asking people, you know, to deposit 10 million naira, 20 million naira, and then you go and get a civil servant on level 16, which the Court of Appeal has declared illegal. So we really have to appreciate that we're operating a democratic system of...
How would you have advised, Mr. Falana?
Those who willful damage to property is provided for under the criminal law.
So that's what the police should have charged them for.
Yes, anybody caught destroying property, that's the law.
So
but not treason.
You could see that they went into one Kano facility. There's a federal government tech facility that was destroyed, and they were on camera. You could see them taking away.
Kano state government charged 672 people in their own courts. Yes, it's not the business of Abuja.
So how would you have advised the federal government, for example?
What is important? What is important? Next time, right? Even if you want to charge children with treason, you have to take them to the family court. In the case of Abuja, Section 152 provides for criminal jurisdiction of the family court. So you can't take them to the high court. So you wanted to look at the Constitution.
Mr. Falana, there are those who debate, lawyers who say, you can't approach the family court on a case of treason.
No. The Section 152 says all criminal offenses involving children shall be tried by the family court. And you know, yes, I listened to that.
Even if
Section 251, 252, no, 251 subsection 3. Does not provide for exclusive jurisdiction of the federal court to try treason. They say state affair, but they now wanted to put everything before the federal court. They say the federal court shall also exercise jurisdiction, not exclusive jurisdiction. So when it comes to the state court, under each of the state has now provided for family court at the high court level and a family court at the magistrate court level. They are... A judge will head one at this high court level, a high court judge will head it, and there will be two assessors. Ditto for the magistrate court.
Procedurally, Mr. Falana, our laws and our criminal procedure rules state also a procedure for administration of juvenile trial, which includes also detention. There are
not
those,
in prisons.
Yeah, no, that's the point I'm making, Mr. Falana.
The prison carries the death penalty. You cannot sentence a child to death under the law.
There are those people who say that even in Abuja, there are no juvenile detention camps. There are no places to keep the children.
Those are the issues the government will have to address. And this is a lesson for all of us. And for us in the human rights community, we're making certain demands. We're taking certain steps.
How can Abuja not have a juvenile detention when you have a family court that could try such offense?
You see, what is done by the prison management or the police, when you are ordered to keep children or minors, and you don't have the facility, you go and look for the facility, or you create one. But here, part of the problem here was that, you know, It was a litany of illegality.
There are those who defended that some of these children are even voters. They are actually not minors.
That's a
if there is a,
no.
There are those who are debating.
I'm talking of the charges filed by the government. The ages 14, 15, 16. The government said the ages. Yes, and you could see the children.
Mr. Falana, because we are totally out of time, there is this matter which you have advocated for. And I heard the National Security Advisor mentioning that we are fully a member of BRICS Commission. Are you happy with that?
We are not a full member.
He said we are member of
Nigeria is...
You know, we were sitting on the fence.
Nigeria is
a passive member.
I think they call it a name. About 30 members are going to cooperate with BRICS. But we are there. We're there.
How does it make you? Because you advocated. And you said that Nigeria should see reason and the present government should see reason in being an active member as an alternative platform for global politics and economy. And this is, it looks like it's happening.
It's in line with Section 19, subsection E of the Constitution that Nigeria shall promote a new economic order, a new international economic order. That's what BRICS is about. And to challenge the dominance of the dollar.
You think
to challenge imperialism.
You think it's a good way to go?
For sure. Because countries, Nigeria and others, are going to trade among themselves, intersect in their own currencies.
On a final note, Mr. Falana, do you see anything wrong in President Tinubu attending the Arab Islamic Summit on behalf of Nigeria as a secular state?
In 1986, Nigeria joined the OIC, Organization of Islamic Countries Conference. And since then, Nigeria has been attending the annual conference of that body. To that extent, many of us just not bothered. But what is important is for the government of Nigeria to appreciate Section 10 of the Constitution. Which is that? Section 10. The government of Nigeria shall not adopt any religion as a state religion. You know, you can't send people to Mecca with public funds. You can't send people to Jerusalem with public funds. You cannot declare or build churches and mosques, you know, as it is done now. Because traditional religion adherents also have the right to say they want to go and worship their own God in Brazil or Cuba. So you have problems in maintaining the secular state of Nigeria.
So what the president did is not an aberration and it's not against the law.
But what I'm saying is that I think that meeting raises questions.
All right.
About the secular state of Nigeria.
Mr. Falana, thank you so much indeed. Mr. Falana is the chair of the committee, ASCAP, and the senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Recall that it has been everywhere in the news lately on how Wike is going about his reckless demolition in Abuja that has forced over thousands of people into the streets. Many have expressed dissatisfaction with the manner Wike has been going about his demolition in Abuja, forcing many thousands of people back to the streets. While he claimed that he's trying to curb insecurity in FCT, many argue that the people he's forcing out of their homes after demolishing their houses will pose a serious security threat to the FCT and the residents of FCT. Hence the call for a retrospection, for him to take a relook into how he can reaccommodate or create a more conducive environment for those being displaced as a result of his demoralization move in Abuja.